Okay, so now we're on Menachot 44. Okay, and it ended on the last one, a slave, okay? 44a. Is more lowly than a woman, and therefore it is appropriate to recite an additional blessing on not having been born a slave. The sages taught this halazon, which is the source of the sky blue dye used in ritual fringes, has the following characteristics. Its body resembles the sea. Its form resembles that of a fish. It emerges once in 70 years, and with its blood one dyes wool sky blue for ritual fringes. It is scarce, and therefore it is expensive. It is taught in a Bereta that Rabbi Natan says, "There is no mitzvah, however minor, that is written in the Torah for which there is no reward given in this world, and in the world to come I do not know how much reward is given." Go and learn from the following incident concerning the mitzvah of ritual fringes. There was an incident involving a certain man who was diligent about the mitzvah of ritual fringes. This man heard that there was a prostitute in one of the cities overseas who took 400 gold coins as her payment. He sent her 400 gold coins and fixed a time to meet with her. When his time came, he came and sat at the entrance to her house. The maidservant of that prostitute entered and said to her, "That man who sent you 400 gold coins came and sat at the entrance." She said, "Let him enter." He entered. She arranged 7 beds for him, 6 of silver and 1 of gold. Between each and every one of them there was a ladder made of silver, and the top bed was the one that was made of gold. She went up and sat naked on the top bed, and he too went up in order to sit naked facing her. In the meantime, his 4 ritual fringes came and slapped him on his face. He dropped down and sat himself on the ground, and she also dropped down and sat on the ground. She said to him, "I take an oath by the Gappa of Rome that I will not allow you to go until you tell me what defect you saw in me." He said to her, "I take an oath by the temple service that I never saw a woman as beautiful as you. But there is one mitzvah that the Lord, our God, commanded us, and its name is ritual fringes. And in the passage where it is commanded, it is written twice, 'I am the Lord your God.'" Numbers 15:41. The doubling of this phrase indicates, "I am the one who will punish those who transgress my mitzvot, and I am the one who will reward those who fulfill them." Now, said the man, "The 4 sets of ritual fringes appeared to me as if they were 4 witnesses who will testify against me." She said to him, "I will not allow you to go until you tell me, what is your name, and what is the name of your city, and what is the name of your teacher, and what is the name of the study hall in which you studied Torah." He wrote the information and placed it in her hand. She arose and divided all of her property, giving 1/3 as a bribe to the government, 1/3 to the poor, and she took 1/3 with her in her possession, in addition to those beds of gold and silver. She came to the study hall of Rabbi Haya and said to him, "My teacher, instruct your students concerning me, and have them make me a convert." Rabbi Hiya said to her, "My daughter, perhaps you set your sights on one of the students, and that is why you want to convert." She took the note the student had given her from her hand and gave it to Rabbi Hiya. He said to her, "Go take possession of your purchase." Those beds that she had arranged for him in the prohibited fashion, she now arranged for him in a permitted fashion. The Gemara completes its point about the reward of mitzvot and points out how this story illustrates the concept. This is the reward given to him in this world, and with regard to the world to come, I do not know how much reward he will be given. Rav Yehuda says, in the case of a borrowed cloak, for the first 30 days it is exempt from ritual fringes. From then on, it is obligated. The Gemara notes, that distinction is also taught in a bereta. In the case of one who resides in a guest house, pundaki, in Eretz Yisrael, or one who rents a house outside of Eretz Yisrael, for the first 30 days he is exempt from the mitzvah of mezuzah. From then on he is obligated. But one who rents a house in Eretz Yisrael must affix a mezuzah immediately, due to the settlement of Eretz Yisrael. The Mishnah teaches, absence of the phylacteries of the arm does not prevent fulfillment of the mitzvah of the phylacteries of the head, and absence of the phylacteries of the head does not prevent fulfillment of the mitzvah of the phylacteries of the arm. Rav Hizda said, they taught this only in a case where one has the other phylacteries, but they are not with him, or he is unable to wear them for some reason. But if he does not have the other phylacteries at all, then their absence does prevent the fulfillment of the mitzvah to don the phylacteries that he has. Later on, the student said to him, "Do you still say that?" Rav Hizda said to them, "No, rather, I would say the opposite, concerning one who does not have the ability to fulfill 2 mitzvot. Should he also not perform the one mitzvah that he does have the ability to fulfill?" The Gemara asks, and what did he hold initially when he said not to don one of the phylacteries in the absence of the other? The Gemara answers, he held that it was due to a rabbinic decree, lest he be negligent and not try to acquire the phylacteries that he lacks. Rav Sheshet says anyone who does not don phylacteries violates 8 positive mitzvot. This is referring to the mitzvah to don phylacteries of the arm and head, each of which is mentioned in 4 different passages. Exodus 13:9, Exodus 13:16, Exodus 6:8, and Deuteronomy 11:18. And anyone who does not have ritual fringes on his garments violates 5 positive mitzvot. This is because the mitzvah of ritual fringes is stated 4 times in the primary passage concerning ritual fringes in Numbers, that they prepare for themselves strings, and they shall put on the fringe of the corner a sky blue thread. And it shall be to you for a fringe, that you may look upon it and remember all the commandments of the Lord. Numbers 15, 38 and 39. An additional command appears in the verse. You shall prepare yourself twisted cords. Deuteronomy 22:12. And any priest who does not ascend the platform to recite the priestly benediction violates 3 positive mitzvot expressed in the verses. So you shall bless the children of Israel. You shall say to them, it's Numbers 6:23, and they shall put my name upon the children of Israel. Numbers 6:27. Anyone who does not have a mezuzah in his doorway violates 2 positive mitzvot stated in the verses, and you shall write them on the doorposts of your house, Deuteronomy 6:9, and you shall write them on the doorposts of your house, Deuteronomy 11:20. And Rish Lakish says, anyone who dons phylacteries lives a long life, as it is stated. (44b). The Lord is upon them, they will live, and altogether therein is the life of my spirit, and have me recover, and make me to live. Isaiah 38:16. This is interpreting as referring to those who don phylacteries, which contain the name of the Lord, on their heads. As a result, they will live, be healed, and merit long life. Mishnah. The Mishnah returns to discussing the halakot of meal offerings, which are the central theme of this tractate. The absence of the fine flour and the oil for the meal offering, accompanying burnt offerings and peace offerings, does not prevent libation of the wine, and the absence of the wine for libation does not prevent sacrifice of the flour and the oil. Failure to perform some of the placements of blood on the external altar does not prevent fulfillment of the mitzvah with the other placements, as even if the priest perform only one placement of blood, the offering affects atonement after the fact. Gemara. The sages taught in a Bereta the verse concerning the additional offerings sacrificed on Sukkot and the 8th day of assembly states, and their meal offering and their libations for the bulls, for the rams, and for the lambs. Numbers 29:18. This indicates that after the animal is sacrificed, one must bring the meal offering and then bring the libations. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi says that since the verse states, to bring an offering made by fire to the Lord, a burnt offering and a meal offering, an animal offering and libations, each on its own day, Leviticus 23:37, one must bring the animal offering and then bring the libations, and only then bring the meal offering. The Gemara asks, but according to Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, also, isn't it written, and their meal offering and their libations, indicating that the meal offering precedes the libations? The Gemara answers, that verse is necessary in order to teach that once the animals have been sacrificed during the day, their meal offering and their libations may be offered even at night, and similarly, their meal offerings and their libations may be offered even the next day. The Gemara asks, but according to the rabbis also, isn't it written, an animal offering and libations, indicating that the libations immediately follow the animal offering and precede the meal offering? The Gemara answers, that verse is necessary to teach that the halakha is in accordance with the statement of Ze'yeri. And Ze'yeri says, the libations that accompany animal offerings are consecrated only through the slaughter of the animal offering. This means that once the animal is slaughtered, the libations that were set aside to be brought with the animal offering cannot be diverted to accompany a different animal offering. The Gemara points out that both opinions remain difficult, but Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi should also require the phrase, an animal offering and libations, to teach that the halakha is in accordance with the statement of Ze'yeri, and the rabbis should also require the phrase, and their meal offering and their libations, to indicate that their meal offering and their libations may be offered even at night, and their meal offering and their libations may be offered even the next day. The Gemara offers a different explanation of the dispute in the Bereta. Rather, this is the reasoning of the rabbis as it is written in the verse. To bring an offering made by fire to the Lord, a burnt offering and a meal offering, an animal offering and libations, each on its own day. The rabbis derive from this that the meal offering should be offered immediately following the animal burnt offering. The Gemara asks, but according to Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi also, isn't it written, a burnt offering and a meal offering? Rather, with regard to libations that accompany an animal offering, everyone agrees that the meal offering should be brought, and afterward the libation should be brought, as it is written, a burnt offering and a meal offering. When they disagree, it is with regard to meal offerings and libations that are brought by themselves. The rabbis hold that from the fact that when meal offerings and libations accompany offerings, the meal offerings are brought and then the libations are brought, it can be derived that when they are brought by themselves also, first the meal offering is brought and then the libations are brought. And Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi holds that it is specifically there, in the case of meal offerings and libations that accompany an animal offering, that the meal offering is burned on the altar before the wine libation is poured on the altar. This is because since the altar has started to eat, i.e. consume, the animal offering, one must first complete the entire matter of the altar's eating, including the meal offering. The pouring of the wine on the altar is likened more to drinking than to eating. But when the meal offering and the libations are brought by themselves, the libations are considered preferable, because the song of the Levites is recited over them. Consequently, the pouring of the libations precedes the burning of the meal offering on the altar. The Mishnah teaches, failure to perform some of the placements of blood on the external altar does not prevent fulfillment of the mitzvah with the other placements, as even if the priest perform only one placement, the offering affects atonement after the fact. Apropos this statement, the sages taught in a Bereta, from where is it derived with regard to all offerings whose blood is to be placed on the external altar, that if one place their blood with one act of placement, as opposed to the 2 or 4 that are required depending upon the offering, that the offering has nevertheless effected atonement after the fact, i.e., one has fulfilled the obligation to bring the offering. As it is stated, "And the blood of your offering shall be poured out against the altar of the Lord your God." Deuteronomy 12:27. Mishnah. Failure to sacrifice one of the bulls, the rams, the sheep, or the goats of the additional offerings brought on festivals does not prevent the sacrifice of the others. Rabbi Shimon says, if the temple treasurers had sufficient funds for the numerous bulls that are required to be sacrificed on that day, but they did not also have sufficient funds for the accompanying libations, they should rather bring one bull and its libations, and they should not sacrifice all of them without libations. Gemara. The Gemara asks, with regard to these bulls, rams, and sheep mentioned in the Mishnah, on which festival are they offered? If we say that these are the offerings of the festival of Sukkot, this is difficult. It is written with regard to those days that their offerings must be brought. According to the ordinance, see e.g. Numbers 29:18, and according to their ordinance, Numbers 29:33. This indicates that no deviation from the Torah's prescription is possible. Rather, the Mishnah must be referring to the 2 bulls, 1 ram, and 7 sheep of the new moon and Shavuot, as mentioned in the book of Numbers. That's Numbers 28:11 and 27. Okay, that completes Menachot 44. Thank you.